Right now, as you watch this video, you think you are completely in control of your thoughts, your choices, and your life. But what if I told you that over 90% of your daily actions are actually being dictated by an invisible director? What if the reason you struggle to break bad habits, the reason you feel anxious for no apparent reason, and the reason you keep falling into the same life traps isn't a lack of willpower, but a programming issue deep within your mind? Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful, fascinating, and mysterious areas of human psychology, the subconscious mind. Most people live their entire lives completely unaware of the massive software running beneath the surface of their conscious awareness. They treat their minds like a shallow puddle, when in reality it is a vast, deep ocean. Over the next few minutes, we are going to unpack the cutting-edge psychology of how your subconscious mind actually works, how it secretly shapes your reality, and how you can actively rewrite its programming. And stick around until the very end, because we are going to look at a timeless piece of ancient wisdom from the Bible that perfectly reveals how to unlock this hidden power. To understand the subconscious mind, psychologists almost always point to a classic image, the iceberg. Imagine an iceberg floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. When you look at it from a ship, you see this massive, towering structure of ice reflecting the sunlight. It looks enormous. But any captain knows that what you see above the water is only about 10% of the iceberg's actual size. The remaining 90% is hidden beneath the dark waves, completely invisible to the naked eye. Your mind works exactly the same way. The part of the iceberg above the water is your conscious mind. This is your waking awareness. It's the part of you that handles logic, critical thinking, willpower, and short-term memory. When you choose what to eat for lunch, solve a math problem, or intentionally listen to my voice right now, you are using your conscious mind. But right beneath the surface lies the rest of the iceberg, your subconscious mind. According to cognitive neuroscientists, our conscious mind only accounts for about 1% to 5% of our brain's processing power during the day. The other 95% to 99% of your life is run entirely by your subconscious. Think about it, your subconscious mind is the ultimate supercomputer. It never sleeps. Right now, it is regulating your body temperature, pumping blood through your heart, managing your digestion, and telling your lungs to expand and contract. You don't have to consciously remind yourself to breathe. If you did, you wouldn't survive a single night's sleep. But its job goes far beyond biology. The subconscious mind is the storage facility for every single experience, emotion, memory, and trauma you have ever had since the moment you were born. It is a recording device that never hits pause. So how does this supercomputer get its software? How did your subconscious mind get programmed in the first place? To find the answer, we have to look back at your childhood. Developmental psychologists have discovered something incredible. From the time you were born until about the age of 7, your brain operates primarily in a low-frequency brainwave state known as theta. In adults, a theta brainwave state is what happens right before we fall asleep, or when we are under deep hypnosis. It is a state of radical suggestibility. For the first 7 years of your life, you did not have a fully functioning critical, conscious mind. You didn't have a filter. Your brain was essentially a sponge, operating in a constant state of hypnosis. This means that whatever you saw, heard, or experienced from your parents, your teachers, your environment, and your culture was downloaded directly into your subconscious mind as absolute truth. If you grew up in a household where people constantly argued about money and said phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "We will never be rich," your subconscious recorded that as a fundamental rule of reality. If a teacher told you that you weren't good at public speaking, or a parent made you feel like you were only loved when you achieved perfect grades, your subconscious downloaded a core belief. I am not enough as I am. Once a belief is downloaded into the subconscious, it becomes an automatic program. It becomes a lens through which you view the entire world. As you grow into adulthood, you think you are making conscious, free choices. But in reality, your conscious mind is constantly taking orders from the childhood programming buried deep in your subconscious. Psychologists call this behavioral conditioning. You act out the script that was written for you before you were even old enough to understand what a script was. Now, here is where the psychology gets tricky and where most people get stuck. The primary job of the subconscious mind isn't to make you happy, rich, or successful. Its primary job is survival and efficiency. Your brain consumes a massive amount of energy. To save energy, the subconscious creates habits and routines so you can do things on autopilot. Once it learns a pattern, it locks it in and guards it fiercely. It loves familiarity because to the primitive brain, familiar means safe and unfamiliar means dangerous. This is why changing your life feels so incredibly difficult. Let's say your conscious mind decides, starting tomorrow, I am going to build a successful business, or I am going to stop eating junk food. That is your conscious mind using willpower, that tiny 5% at the top of the iceberg. But down below, your subconscious mind looks at its programming and says, wait a minute, for the last 20 years we have been comfortable, safe, and hidden. Being successful or changing our diet is unfamiliar. It's a threat to our current status quo. What happens next? A massive internal tug-of-war begins. And remember, the subconscious controls 95% of your processing power. Willpower alone cannot compete with that kind of leverage. Suddenly, you experience what psychologists call self-sabotage. You find yourself procrastinating. You feel an overwhelming wave of anxiety or doubt that convinces you to quit. You make excuses and slide right back into your old habits. You blame a lack of discipline, but the truth is far more profound. Your conscious goals were completely misaligned with your subconscious beliefs. If your subconscious mind believes you are a failure, it will actively manipulate your behavior, your body language, and your choices to ensure that you fail, simply because it wants its external reality to match its internal programming. So are we trapped? Are we permanently stuck with whatever programming we received as children? Absolutely not. The beauty of modern psychology and neuroscience is the discovery of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewrite its neural pathways at any age. You can reprogram your subconscious mind, but you have to bypass the conscious filter to do it. Here are the two primary ways behavioral psychology suggests we can rewrite the script. 1. Repetition and habituation. The subconscious learns through repetition. How did you learn to drive a car? At first, your conscious mind was stressed, focusing on the pedals, the mirrors, and the steering wheel all at once. But through relentless repetition, that information sank into the subconscious. Now you can drive miles down the highway while thinking about something else entirely. To change a belief, you must repeatedly feed your mind new thoughts, new actions, and new environments until the unfamiliar becomes the new familiar. 2. The hypnagogic state, the sleep gateways. Remember how children are in a theta state. As adults, we naturally re-enter that vulnerable, highly suggestible state twice a day. Right before we fall asleep, and right when we wake up. Most people ruin these windows. They lie in bed scrolling through negative news, stressful emails, or toxic social media feeds right before sleep, effectively programming their subconscious with anxiety for the next 8 hours. If you want to change your life, protect those 2 windows. Fill your mind with gratitude, vision, peace, and truth in those quiet moments before sleep. Let your subconscious marinate in who you want to become, not what you are afraid of. It is incredibly beautiful to see how modern psychology is finally catching up to what ancient spiritual wisdom has been teaching for thousands of years. Scientists call it the subconscious mind. They talk about how your internal programming dictates your external life, and how you must guard your thoughts to change your reality. But centuries before modern psychology ever existed, the Bible mapped out this exact psychological blueprint in a single profound verse. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23, it gives us the ultimate instruction for our minds. Guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. In ancient biblical language, the word heart didn't just mean an emotional muscle. It referred to the innermost being, the seat of your deepest thoughts, beliefs, and what we now call the subconscious mind. The verse tells us to guard it with all diligence. Why? Because it is the source of everything else. It doesn't say life happens to you, it says life flows from you. Your life flows directly out of the deep well of your subconscious programming. If that well is filled with fear, bitterness, and unworthiness, your life will reflect that. But if you guard that well, purifying it with truth, faith, and God's word, your life will transform from the inside out. True change doesn't start with changing the world around you. It starts with renewing the mind within you. Thank you so much for exploring the depths of the mind with me today. If this message brought some clarity to your life, or if it changed the way you look at your own thoughts, then comment right down below. And please share this video with your beloved ones who need to unlock the power of their mind today. Until next time, guard your thoughts, protect your heart, and keep moving forward. Peace be upon you.